All right, everybody. So your assignment. Okay, this is the Module 3 final assignment. It's going to look something like this. So we're actually going to pin these up and review them. We'll do it in cycles, but and if it gets too redundant, then I might not go through everyone. But what I want to see is your progression, and clearly these are not all the same project. I have mine in the top left, and is that Brian's right below that, and then Kobe's for the rest. But I want you guys to basically be pinning everything up so that you can really see the progression of all of your projects, right? And where we're sort of heading. So by the time we get through the M3, M3 meaning Module 3 images, M3 number 1, 2, and 3, you should really have kind of a full architectural model. Okay, so, and we haven't post-produced it yet, so it's still, I mean, if you look at it compared to a lot of the other renderings you see coming out of university programs and stuff like that, it's still going to look a little flat. That's okay, because we're going to start doing post-production in the next module. But we should be at a point where we're producing full architectural renderings with basically a grayscale materiality and nothing else but kind of tinting the camera and playing with camera angles, but they should all be really well composed. So it's not really, the lighting isn't coming out yet, but this is where I got to with my lights, all those lighted elements inside. It doesn't look good yet because it's still extremely grainy, but you can see that there's a lot of light in there. As the render progresses, it will, the glass will sort of clear out and it'll show a lot more of what's happening inside. So you can rely on that as you progress into a longer render. Okay, so basically like a render like this with lights, with entourage, and with context really is the ultimate goal. So what I dropped in the folder is, let me find it real quick. Whoops. Under Module 3, you'll see the Module 3 final requirements. This just outlines what I want you to focus on and what I want you to make sure you have. So just like what you see on the left, like this one right here, did we do a 1/4 inch margin or a 1/2 inch? I guess we did a 1/4 inch on those, huh? But it came out like it's, if I thought we did a 1/2 inch. But, all right. Yeah, so I wonder why it came out as a 1/4. Anyway, this one I'm asking you for a 1/2 inch margin on all sides for all of them. So it'll look like that, but a little bit larger of a margin. And let's see, so 8.5 by 11 page, 1/2 inch margin on all sides. You can choose your compositional method, right? So that's why we did that snapshotting process before, because I wanted you to go through the experience of trying to find each and every type of compositional method in your model. Okay, and what you all probably realize, like raise your hand if you found at least one that you pretty much can't do in your project. Right, it should be most of you, at least half, right? So that's a really significant sort of discovery process, and now you go through the selection process, meaning you pick the ones that are most viable, that are going to communicate the architecture of your building in the best way, and then you proceed with those. So 3 of them, your choice of compositional method, and just make sure that you have all of these things in there, that you have entourage, meaning like furniture or site components, maybe even like light fixtures if that's relevant. Make sure that if you have like the interior of your model isn't really developed, that you go through the process of further developing that model. Okay, because if you look into your building and there's no ceiling, or anything, then it's going to look like a really sort of weird, unfinished architectural piece. So that's really critical. But you can do a draft render and then look at it, and that'll help you, figure out whether or not it's necessary. It might not be necessary. Interior lighting, I said a bunch of times. Exterior, where required, meaning like exterior lighting, where required, if applicable, whatever. It's up to you guys to apply that if you need it. And then probably most importantly is context. I don't want to see any horizon in your model at all. So you can see where I positioned this. I positioned it so that there's no horizon. It's just the context around my model that's sort of nestles it into the urban landscape. But what it was originally in another draft render, let me go back to this, it sort of looked like something like that, right? Where this is exposed and it just kind of bleeds out into infinity. Okay, so that is one of those things that gets you a huge return on investment for very little time to develop. Okay, just put some masking back there, something to block it off. What else? Let's see. Oh, and no people. So I don't want you guys to get distracted with trying to, make it an active space yet. Okay, we'll do some of that, and I'll show you really great techniques for it. And then I just kind of described that, the most important part of this exercise right now isn't really the architecture. It's about the context around and in the architecture. Okay, so like, yes, we're focusing on developing the model, but we're really trying to learn what parts of the model can I develop in very little time that's going to get me a more believable result. Not real, okay, we're not trying to get a real looking or a photorealistic result, just something that's more believable as architecture, okay? Okay, now, outside of that, I think the rest of the day here is going to be developing that, and I think what I want to do for desk crits today is come around and just kind of chat with you guys about which images you're going to pick, or if you have any other questions or concerns about the model itself. If you need any tutorials on anything, then we could do that sort of on a desk crit basis. Okay, are there any questions about the assignment as is? No, none. You guys are very questionless today. All right. I have a hard time believing you, because as soon as I stop the video, you guys are going to be like, oh, I have a question. So, all right. Let's get to it.